Today I installed an e-bike hitch rack from Cravot, which is called the CyberRack E2 Plus. So come along and watch how I did it and learn a few things. This is the Cravot CyberRack E2 Plus. The only difference I think between the E2 Plus and the E2 is this latching mechanism right here, which you can pull forward and it'll allow your bikes to tilt forward so you can get into the hatch of your vehicle. So you can see right here, you wouldn't be able to open the hatch because you got the bikes in the way. So it allows for that. And also disclosure, this is not a paid review. This was not given to me by Cravot. I got it for a discount just like you guys can. So if you go to our website and check it out, there are discounts to be had. So I bought it with my own money. Got here in about 4 or 5 days. So shipping was decent. And everything arrived in perfect order. And I was able to assemble it all in about an hour. So the CyberRack E2 Plus supports about 200 pounds maximum. So you can assume it's about 100 pounds per track. I have an Aventon Adventure 3 on the front of it, which is the heaviest bike. With all the stuff on there, it's about 80 pounds. I kept the battery on there for this review. And then the bike in front is an Aventon Pace 4. It's my wife's vehicle. And her bike is about, I think, 50 to 60 pounds, somewhere in between there. Much lighter bicycle, but still heavy enough that you need a good bike rack for it. One thing to note also is that you need a 2-inch hitch on your vehicle. So you need a 2-inch hitch, and that hitch should also have a tongue weight. It should be able to support 300 pounds plus. This one on the Jeep Trailhawk supports 400 pounds, so that's plenty. Tongue weight just means, you know, how much of that weight pushing down on it that it can hold without breaking, right? So you can imagine this rack weighs about, I think, just less than 70 pounds. The bikes together, I have about 140 pounds on there, so there's 210 pounds right there pushing down on the tongue weight. Well, here's the box that it came in. I'll get some measurements for you here in a sec. It's a pretty big, heavy box. The FedEx driver was having a heck of a time lifting this, trying to get it onto her dolly so she can bring it over here, but they ran out and gave her some assistance. With 2 people, you could lift it, not too much of an issue. It's kind of awkward. I think it weighs about 75 pounds in this state. But if you look, the shipping was done really well. There's no dents, there's no damage to the box. Everything looks pretty solid, so yeah, at least the shipping gets a really good review. We'll open it up after I get some dimensions here. We'll open it up and see what the packing is like. Okay, let's get a measurement on this thing. So, it is 19 inches wide. And about 9 1/4 on the height. And let's look at the length here. All right, and then the length of the box is a little over 54. Let's say 54 1/4. Well, the packing job's really good. Everything looks packed nicely. I don't see any damage. On the camera, this little divot right here, that looks like a screw hole. But what's funny on the camera, it almost looks like it's damaged or something, but it's not. So packing job, great score. Looks good to me. All right, well, this is the first part that you have to install, which basically just goes right into your 2-inch receiver. And then it has a really nice heavy-duty bolt right there that attaches to this lock. And this lock has, right there you can see, you put those keys into that lock and you can unlock the end of that bolt. And that way you can take the whole thing off if you want. but the lock itself prevents people from stealing your rack. Although I don't know if they're going to be able to lift 200 pounds plus a 70-pound rack, but hey, I'm sure people find a way. Well, first thing to note is you're going to get 2 of these bolts. This one's a little different because it's got this locking tip on the end, but you're going to get 2 of these M16 sized bolts, and they're very strong. But the thing to know about these bolts is you're going to need to have a 24 millimeter socket, or you're gonna have to have maybe a crescent wrench that you can adjust, or you could have an open end or boxed in 24 millimeter wrench. I got myself a 24 millimeter socket, which I'll show you a picture of. Now the other bolts that are in the kit are all M10s, and they require a 17 millimeter socket, but I may do with a 5/8 inch because I didn't have a 17 millimeter. So just know that. Well, so one of the issues that I ran into right off the bat is that with this Jeep Trailhawk, this plastic piece right here is in the way of this bolt going into the hole. But you can push it real hard and that gives you enough room. Just something to be aware of. And you should be able to just finger tighten this thing until it gets too hard to do, or at least until you feel that it's not so comfortable to do so. Right now it's going through pretty easily. Oh, there it goes. It's starting to tighten up a little bit more now. And then you just want a good socket wrench, something that's pretty strong, because you're going to need some room in there. Let's see. There we go. And that makes it easier on your fingers. Okay, it's got a lock washer on it. So you just want to make sure that that lock washer gets fully compressed, and then you won't have any issues, hopefully. Should stay on there. So let's just get this thing in there nice and tight. And don't torque it too much. You might strip it, or you might break your ratchet. So just get it in there nice and snug. There we go. Yep, I think the washer is now nice and collapsed. I'm not putting much torque on it at all, actually. There we go. Yeah, that's not going anywhere, guys. That thing is strong. And then you have this piece. So this uses a lock mechanism where it comes with keys, and you're going to put it over here. It's just going to lock on the end of this, like so. And that keeps people from stealing your hitch. It also provides some extra security in case this bolt came loose for some ungodly reason. But there you go. This next piece here also uses it bolts in using the M16 bolt, which just like the one that I put on the hitch there, the 2-inch hitch, you're gonna have to use a 24 millimeter socket, or if you have an open end wrench or crescent, that's fine too. But just know it's 24 millimeters. All right, that didn't seem too hard to put on. I'm gonna use, this is the bolt we gotta use here. M16 24 millimeter. Okay. So I have the crescent, which I'm going to use to hold the nut while I torque it on with the torque wrench, or with the socket wrench. And just kind of wiggle this a little bit so that it goes through nicely. Eventually you're going to want to torque this down, but not super torquey. You want to give it just enough space so that this will tilt up and down. And that is going to go on right there. Now it's got a nice nylon locking end on it, which keeps it from coming off. But what I want to do is hold this down. So I'm going to hold that down and tighten with my socket wrench. Just a hair. Maybe that much. Let's see. So this has a mechanism right here, which you pull, which allows you to lower it in different positions. And there's a locking pin right here, right? It just pulls out, pops in. When it's in, you can't pull on this lever anymore. Okay, so I got one bolt already started. You want to line up the holes in the rack here with the holes here. And you just kind of wiggle it through till it gets to where you want it to be. Finger tighten it for now. So now I got two bolts. There's two bolts that hold in this track. And there, you could use a 17 millimeter socket or a 5/8 inch socket. You can also use an adjustable crescent wrench, an open end wrench, whatever you prefer, but I'm going to use a socket because it's much faster. Remember, this is made out of, I think it's aluminum. This part here is steel. The track, I believe, is aluminum. So you want to avoid torquing too much. You know, you just want to make sure it's nice and strong, but if you torque too much, you might compress the aluminum and cause it to warp. Looks good. So with this one, we're going to go front to back where the head is on this side and the nut is on the other side, which is just in the instructions. I don't know why that is. It's probably just to make it look nice. You know, the part that's the flat part of the bolt is the nicer looking part. Just looks cleaner. So the part with the nut on it, you want that to be facing away from people if you can, I think. But it'll work either way. You don't need to put a ton of torque on here because you might break the bolt. But just snug like that. There we go. Now on the other side. It's always good to have the torque part facing away from hitting your knuckles on something. So my torque is pulling towards me. So if this were to slip, it would just come towards me. Not going to hit anything. But if you have the torque facing something where you could hit your knuckles on it, that could be a bad day sometimes. Ask me how I got this big old scar on my finger right there. Doing something like that when I was a kid, changing the oil, and my girlfriend at the time, her Toyota Celica, she's my wife now, changing the oil, I slipped on the nut, racked my finger underneath the front end of the car, ripped my finger open, got 6 stitches in that thing. So, yeah, nice scar that just goes right up like that. You probably can't see it on camera, but whatever. This is nice and strong. There we go. So here's something fun I just noticed. And it's not a bad thing, but it's interesting, and they don't tell you in the instructions. But these bolts right here are to be used to put this on. Now, they don't tell you in the instructions that they're already installed, that you just need to take them off and then put them back on. So I'm looking all over the place for the bolts for this, and took a good look here, and it's like, oh, they're already there. So really, you have to take these off, put this on, and then put these back on. So just something to know, so you don't have to waste a lot of time looking for bolts like I did. There it is. Bolts this time, no nuts. Do with that what you will. Okay. All right, well, you know which side is up. Just look at the letters, Cravot. Easy enough. And now I gotta figure out where they line up. Looks like it lines up to these two holes just like that. And this gives you a little bit of a adjustment, I guess, in case there's some, if it's off a little bit in manufacturing, you have a little bit of adjustment room there. Just hang it like so. All right. Just get one through, get it started. Now don't torque it down or anything, just start it with your finger, just so you get it enough in there so that it'll hang on to this piece, but don't let go yet. Grab the other one, same thing. Gives you lots of playroom. Get it just where you want it. Okay. Snug it down nicely, but don't torque too hard. Again, bolts sometimes don't have a good torque strength. If you put too much torque on them, they just snap. Ask me how I know. And when they snap, it's really hard to get them out unless you have an easy out set or something. Got to drill them out and try to get them out with an easy out. Pain in the butt. All right, nice and strong. Looks good. On to the next one. You just want to get the bolt in there loosely. Make sure you thread it in straight and just finger tighten it. Don't let go of the thing. Just hold it maybe with your legs like that. And then you do the next one. Don't put it on too tightly. Just get it to where it's just in the right spot, and you can finger thread it at least about probably 10 threads or so, because these threads are pretty small, so you can turn them in pretty good. That's why I like using a socket wrench, because if you use an opening wrench on these kind of things, it takes forever. There we go. Key it off. By the way, when it comes to sockets, I prefer using 6-point sockets, especially if you're going to be putting some torque on something. 12-point sockets aren't really good for a lot of torque. So if you have the choice, use a 6-point. All right, nice and strong. Let's take a look here. How does that feel? So that'll lean your bikes down nicely. And then this will put your rack up when you're driving around town. Yeah, not making any noise, so that's good. Okay, well, on to the next step. So this is the part that's gonna swing up and down and has an arm that grabs onto your bike. But it also has shims. So these plastic shims that have to be installed during the process. And my guess is they're for anti-rattle, or keeps everything locked into place, because you're only going to use one bolt for each of these. So this also gives you probably some more strength as well as the anti-rattle mechanism. Let's give it a shot here and see how we can do this with one arm. So the trick is these shims just kind of go in here. Kind of looks like they'll stay in place. Nope, the wind will blow it off. Okay. So I think I can just take the bolt, go through the hole, just kind of use the weight of the bolt to kind of hold it in there, just for now. Put the other one in, like that. Now, I can put this like so, get it just in the right spot. The bolt's gonna fall out, that's okay. That's what I expected. But it held it in there just long enough so that I can get this in place where it should be. And that'll should just go all the way through. There, and you just push it all the way through until the square head goes into the square hole and stays in there nice. And this will hold it in place with its weight. And then you can put the nut on there, which is also a nylon locking nut. Make sure it's going the right way. Hold this with your thumb while it's in the square hole. Try not to rack your knuckles, so you probably need to turn it. So here's something interesting. The nuts are not M10s. They're actually a little bit bigger than this 5/8. So let me come right back with a, maybe, I'm thinking an 11/16. Let's try that out. So these are the things you don't learn or experience until you start putting this thing together. So that's why I'm doing this video for you guys. This is an 11/16 socket, which seems to be fitting just nicely. And again, like I was saying before, you don't want to torque it too much when you get to that point, because it might round the socket, and frankly, you don't need to torque it that much. Let's get it to a nice place so everything's folding on nicely, but don't torque it too much. There we go. That seems good. Maybe give it one more turn. There we go. Yep, seems good. There we go. This bar will be nice and secure for holding your bike. On to the next one. And again, you're going to use the 11/16 if you have it. My guess is if this is bigger than the 17 millimeter, I guess you would use an 18 millimeter. I don't think it actually says that in the manual at all. I think it just called this an M10 bolt. Not 100% sure though. You'll have to take a look at it yourself. Not a big deal. Just make sure you have the right tools though. That's what this video is about. It's supposed to help you guys out. Just keep going until it gets nice and snug. Okay. And once it's snug, just give it a nice crank and you're good. There we go. I don't think that's going to rattle too much. Let's give it another one just in case. There we go. Yeah, I don't think it's going to make any noise. All right, I think we're good. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn my bike on. And I'll just give it a little bit of throttle to get it up the rack. We'll see what we get here. Okay. Okay. Just kind of hold it in place. Up we go. Oh, that's my bad. There we go. I was not watching the front wheel and I looked backwards like that. And we wanted to see, that's what happens. Let's try that again. Okay. Okay, I got the bike rolled up this far. And I'll just use my throttle a little bit. Try to keep it on the track. Be careful, right? And get it to go in just like that. Now here's a problem, right? So I had moved this forward, but I somehow messed up on that. So I'm gonna lift it up, try not to hurt my car. There we go. Now that was awkward for me, but again, this is my first time putting this thing on, so it's going to be awkward. All right. Not too bad. Now once it's sitting like this, there's really nothing that's going to hold it. So I think another thing to keep in mind is how are you going to keep this from falling over and hitting your vehicle, or falling over and hitting that? So those are things you got to know. Plus I got to get the pedals in a certain position. And you see this bar here will come up. Now I should be able to lean it against this bar for now, and it won't go anywhere. There we go. That gives us some stability. Shouldn't slide off. But you can see, I'm just showing you, the awkwardness that would come with doing this yourself the first time. This bike here weighs 77 pounds, something like that. With all the stuff I have on it, this heavy lock, it's probably about 80 pounds. So an 80-pound bike can be pretty awkward. So just make sure you're gonna have to use some muscle to get it up here. And I was using the throttle. I don't even know if I really needed to use it, but to be honest, it's helpful, but could also be a hindrance. And the reason why I said that is I could feel it kind of wanting to get away from me. And you could easily like have the bike fall on your car and scrape it, put a big gouge in your paint or something like that. So you just have to be really careful. I'm thinking once I had it up to where it was, I could have just wheeled it on. But anyways, these are things for you to see in action as I do them, and then you can decide how you're gonna do it. So the bar uses this grabbing, I don't wanna say clamp, more like a grabber. You push this button in, it looks like. So as you push it, that comes out. And it's got this rubber kind of lobster claw thing. So I think the trick is, once your bike is on there, you have to make a decision on how you want it to be grabbed, which part of it. I'm gonna see if it'll grab this, because I think the frame would be the best, so you could always kind of test it. No, I think this is better because it goes all the way around, where this does not. Now, let's see, we're gonna loosen this up. It's got a little thing you spin off. That should give you a lot of play on the bar. You don't have too much, but that gives you play there. And then you can just put this on. I got the bike leaning against it, so I'm gonna take it and see if I got the right side. I'm thinking this is the right side here, if it matters or not. So I do want to loosen it a lot, it looks like. So give that a nice loosen. There we go. So another thing to know, this thing you need to kind of pull it apart a little bit so it can go onto that. I wouldn't recommend tightening it yet. Just kind of make sure it's on there. Now this turns, so I'm just gonna lift it up, get the bike over, then I'm gonna turn it to where it goes like this. And just make sure you're holding securely to the bike the whole time. Very important. Okay. See how it allows you to just kind of adjust it exactly where you want it to go? So I want it to hold right there. So I'm gonna tighten this up so that this is nice, and you wanna make sure it's pretty level. It's not critical, but it gives you the most strength that way. Tighten it down real good. Okay. Then I'm gonna put this through here for the lobster claw. Now as this rubber piece pushes against the lobster claws, the rubber in here, it's gonna squish it all together and hold onto this tightly. And that's what you want. Okay. So I want the bike to be pretty straight. So I think we're good, just like that. Pull it tight. There we go. I don't think it's going anywhere. Nice and snug. So we have this part down tight, so it's not going to slide anywhere. And we can now strap it down with this part. And get the ramp out of the way once you're done with it. Set the folding ramp on the ground. Later on, you can put that in your car. Okay. You just want to get it between the spokes, and you want this rubber piece right here to be what's on your rim. Keep it from getting marred. So just kind of eyeball it, get it to about right there. It's going to be between the spokes. You can't see it, but it has the same kind of ratchet mechanism like the other one did. Kind of like a zip tie. And you'll do the same from this side. So I have the stem right here in the way. So should just be able to do that. Kind of eyeball it so that I go between spokes, which I'll do about right there. I think that'll work. It's critical to make sure that you don't push a lot of weight against the spokes. You don't want to bend them. I think that's good, just like that. Okay, well, this is my wife's e-bike, which is in the 50 to 60 pound range. And I'm thinking when you're on the outer edge like this, you can probably just wheel it on up. So things I've learned from when I put the first one on, though, is I should lock this down like that, because the other one moved forward somehow and I wasn't paying attention. So with this bike, I'm thinking I'm just gonna lift the front wheel like so, and turn it, and then lift this one up like so. You know, 50, 60 pounds is still pretty heavy. There you go. I think that's about right. That should do the job. It is correct. Pull that down tight so they ain't going anywhere. Okay, wheel is on. So one of the main differences between the CyberRack E2 Plus from the CyberRack E2 is it has a tilt mechanism where you can tilt the bikes towards you, and that'll allow you to get into the hatch of your vehicle. I haven't tested that out yet, so let's do that together. There is a pin mechanism here that slides in and out that keeps it safe so that you can't pull on this lever. But you turn it, and now it's out of, it's not in the safety anymore. So if you pull this, it should tilt forward. I would say hold it with some weight just in case, like this. Pull it, and then see what you get. That is very awkward, very much. Oh boy. So, it's awkward to do that, but it does work. And the reason for it is so you pull your hatch open on your car and you won't hit it, and you can put groceries and things like that in there. So you have to put some force into this probably to lift it up from this part. So let's see what happens here. How am I going to lift it up? So do I get underneath it and just lift? All right, well, so what I'm going to do is just lift it up without actually pulling the handle. Maybe you don't even have to pull it. Let's do that. Interesting. So there you go. There's one thing I haven't thought about. How do you lift this thing back up when you have 150 pounds of bike on it? And I don't really see an easy mechanism to do that. there's a lift down there, right? So let's try it this way. And try not to hit myself or hurt my back. Oh man, that's not easy. So my dilemma with this is all the weight of the bikes and the rack are tilted forward, which I can't get enough leverage down here to lift it back up to where the pin goes in. So I'm looking, I don't see anything holding it from being a problem, so I should just be able to lift it. I think the issue is there's just so much weight, you know? You got a lot of weight here, and these don't have a lot of leverage to lift it up, and you don't want to break it by lifting with this anyways. You want to lift under here, and then lift. Ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Okay, well now that I've removed 60 pounds from the front of it, I'm hoping that I can lift it back up easily without hurting myself. Let's give it a shot, shall we? Much easier. Oh yeah. Okay, first lesson learned. Don't tilt this thing with two bikes on it, or I should say two heavy e-bikes, without having another person to help you, or without knowing that you're not going to lift this thing back up, probably without taking the bike off in the front. I'm sure some of you are weightlifters and you can do it, but hey, I'm just your normal average 230 pound, 6'5" guy, not a weightlifter. But man, I could not get this lifted up. It's just too much weight. So just something to keep in mind for those of you that don't lift 300, 400 pounds daily without any issues. All right. Well, the bike rack is on there and the bikes are on the bike rack. I'm just going to take it for a little drive up and down the street here, go over some dips and some turns and see how everything holds up. Now, looking at it all in my rearview mirror, I can see that everything looks pretty stable. One thing to note, inside the vehicle, I'm not hearing any noise whatsoever. No rattles, no knocks, no vibrations. I know we're just getting started here, but doing a nice little turn here. Doesn't seem to be any movement. Very good. So it does limit your visibility through your rear view mirror. The center one anyway, so you're gonna need to use your side mirrors really to get a good look out so you can be driving safely. Your center mirror doesn't work really well because you got bikes in the way. They seem pretty solid. I'm not noticing any heavy movement or any problems whatsoever. So yeah, seems to be working really well. One thing to note when you're backing up your vehicle, when you're going into reverse, what I experienced with mine is the backup camera was detecting something in the way and it was beeping at me to warn me that I'm gonna hit something. It didn't cause any issues, but it just gives like a long drone kind of sound, like beep, just kind of warning me. No big deal, but you just got to keep that in mind. For people who have those vehicles with automatic braking, that could be a problem. Oh, I'm driving about 45 miles an hour right now. Everything seems nice and stable. I'm not hearing a sound out of any of those, out of the rack or the bikes. Everything's very, very sturdy and sound right now. Going over some big dips. Yeah, no problem whatsoever. All right, turning left. Oh, this is great. So I definitely give it a thumbs up on the road test. Everything's quiet, everything's stable, and they seem to be holding well. Well, so I guess the million-dollar question is, would I recommend the Cravot CyberRack E2 Plus? Well, the answer is really, it depends. The E2 Plus has the latch where you can pull that latch, tilt it down, get into your hatch if you need to. But that comes with a caveat, which is that it's very heavy if you have bikes on it. And I was struggling with a 60-pound bike on the end. I can only imagine if someone had two 100-pound bikes on here. So take that for what it is. You can still use it, of course. It doesn't make it so it's unusable. It just makes it so that it's awkward. So the way I was able to lift it back up was to remove the lighter bike. And then once I removed the lighter bike, then I was able to lift it back up into place and everything was fine. So just something to keep in mind. If you don't need that latching mechanism, if you don't need the tilt back, then I would probably recommend the E2 because you can save some money and you don't have to worry about getting yourself into a situation where the weight of your bikes is keeping you from lifting it back into place. Unless you're a weightlifter or something, then you probably don't even care. So that's the only caveat. The durability, the strength of the steel frame, the center part, the part that goes onto your 2-inch hitch. So that part there, and then the actual spine part here, that seems to be made of a real heavy duty solid steel. And I was impressed with the strength of it, but it also comes with the price of being heavy. That's just how it is. If you want something to be strong and able to hold 200 pounds of e-bikes, then it's going to be heavy. The rest of it was made out of what seemed to be aluminum or some kind of, maybe it's an alloy of some sort, but it didn't feel like steel. I think it's aluminum, like this part here. And, the track itself that the bike sits on, but it still seemed very strong, very strong. So I'm impressed with it. It didn't make any noise when I'm driving down the street. Didn't shake and rattle. Didn't seem to be a problem at all. So other than the lifting mechanism and trying to lift that up when you have bikes loaded on it, the other issue that I had with it was loading bikes onto it, using the ramp. At first I awkwardly tried to roll my bike up on it and I wasn't prepared. I wasn't watching it carefully and going as slow as I should have. So that's just something for you to learn. My bike slipped and fell towards the car and kind of banged up against it, but luckily didn't put any damage on the car or anything like that. So I was just lucky there. So something to be aware of. Just be real careful as you're moving your bike up the ramp. It's not as easy as it seems, rolling up something that's 80 pounds. So anyways, just keep that in mind. I do like this. I give it a thumbs up. For me, it's going to work great. I feel like I've learned everything I need to as far as what to be aware of, how to load a bike properly, how to use it, and I believe it's going to last me for a long time because it is very heavy duty. So thumbs up for me. That ends the video. So if you like this, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And again, we'll see you next time.